Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are here to do my review of Superman. So pop that tape in, I got you, let's go do this. Alright, so I don't normally do big new movie reviews. That's not my thing. I make movies, I write movies, I try to enjoy movies. We talk physical media, we talk all kinds of stuff here. But this one is a little bit different. I was not going to go see this movie. As you can see by my 25-plus-year-old hat, I am a big Superman fan. So is my son, and he wanted to go see it, and we went and saw it last night, and I have to give my thoughts on it because, well, I've seen a lot of it before. I just saw Smallville do all the best parts better. I wanted to see, was it woke like they say, and I really went in looking for that. And we're going to get to that in just a minute, but my first thoughts on it, and I'm just going to warn you, this is going to have stream of conscious spoilers in it. So if you don't want any type of even light spoilers to any heavy spoilers, I'll try to mention if heavy spoilers are coming first. This may not be the video for you right now until you watch it, because it's gonna come out in the course of talking about it. But let's address the elephant in the room first. Is it woke? No, I can't say that. I think what happened there is you had a extreme tool bag from Variety, who is known for instigating stuff like this, try to lead these actors down to follow his agenda.
Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction. Your brother talked about Superman being an immigrant, and now MAGA is already upset that he's called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
There was a misquote, all that kind of stuff. There was a stupid comment from James Gunn's stupid brother about you're not American, this or that. Don't say stuff like that. That's just stupid. You're stupid. And he got goaded right into it by a guy who's famous for doing that. That blew up everywhere, and that kind of added to it. There's not a huge political agenda in this movie. There's some things under there that you can unpack and go down into if you want to, but they're not over there. Nothing's hitting you over the head. There's not a bunch of girl boss moments or anything like that either. There's none of that kind of stuff in here. But that doesn't mean the movie is great either, unfortunately, because honestly, we're going to talk about what I didn't like. We're going to talk about what I did like. Unfortunately, what I did like was all kind of shoplifted from Smallville and from James Gunn himself, just copying himself. Because without Joss Whedon and Jon Favreau over the top of him to kind of rein him in and all that kind of stuff, like with the first Guardians and the second Guardians, James Gunn gets too much James Gunn. And that's what was in this, is just too much James Gunn being James Gunn. But if you're worried about it being like an in-your-face, message-driven, agenda-driven thing, it's not. It's not there. I have a antenna out for that. It's not. What it has is some bad CGI. And when I say bad CGI, holy geez, we're going backwards on CGI. There's a scene where Lex, and you've seen this in the trailers, but there's a scene where Lex is walking through the Fortress of Solitude, and there's stuff blowing up this way and that, and he doesn't even flinch. You can tell all of this cartoon-looking CGI explosions and shrapnel flying was put in after the fact. He doesn't flinch. He's not a super meta-human. Your limbic system or what, you would react, right? He doesn't flinch. The sparks don't go around his head. It looks bad. It looks like a bad cartoon. There's a random big, because James Gunn got to be James Gunn, there's a random big gaiju that just shows up out of nowhere, no explanation. And it looks bad on CGI. Really bad. The flying in this movie, the flying in Smallville 20 years ago looked better than it does in this movie. And if I have clips of anything I can put up, I'll put it up. But the flying looked better in Smallville 20 years ago than it did in this. So I don't know what's happening to CGI. That's going to lead me down another path of discussion where Hollywood, they're going to have to figure out how to write again. And they're going to have to figure out how to do things practically again. Because anybody with a AI subscription can create this, all the CGI effects like this now. You don't need a army of people the same way. We're going to be tone deaf to CGI. And when it looks bad, it'll be like, oh, I could see somebody do that on Instagram with a AI in 5 minutes. You got to get away from it. You're going to have to start doing things in camera again, and you're going to have to start writing again. You're going to have to write original stuff. You can't just shoplift everything from other people and yourself. We're going to talk about that too in just a minute. But the fight where they're fighting in the baseball field, it's a CGI mess. He looks like a rubber band. It's not good. The CGI is not good. So that is bad. I did not care for the CGI. I hated Jonathan and Martha Kent. Jonathan and Martha Kent, he literally made them talk like this, and they were stupid and old and hollering into a phone. He made them caricatures. He also took away a lot of their purpose from the comic book. It is a hot mess what he did to them. The only version of Jonathan and Martha Kent to ever be gotten correct was Smallville. Period. Because that's what makes Superman who he is, his time in Smallville. And it takes this whole movie for him to figure out that, which makes no sense, because the other thing I don't like is you drop us right into he's been Superman for a few years, and he's just got his ass kicked. And that's another problem, because he's constantly getting his ass kicked in the movie. We've just met Superman, this new Superman, this guy you want us to believe is Superman. We've not seen him go through trials and tribulations. We haven't seen him where he's coming from. We haven't seen anything. Your first images of this man is in the suit, in the snow, bleeding, and you've just been told he got his ass kicked. That doesn't exactly scream Superman, does it? I could not have hated that more. And he spends way too much time in this movie getting his ass kicked and needing to be saved by other people. I, as a Superman, hardcore Superman fan, despise that. On so many levels do I despise that. But it's part of the impatience of James Gunn and of DC. DC's problem is they've been playing catch up this whole time on Marvel. And they cannot wait to get to team ups. Now you've put the man in charge of DC who only knows how to do goofy team ups. That's all he knows how to do. Whether he's doing Scooby-Doo, Guardians, but again, Guardians, he was controlled by Joss Whedon and Favreau. And Joss Whedon, he is not. He does not have the writing ability, the restraint, the intelligence of when to use comedy, when not to, that Joss Whedon does. He does not have it. But he tries. Okay, he tries to. And that causes problems, because you can't have a serious moment without a stupid joke in it. But he wanted to rush to a team-up movie. So not only do we not get to see Superman become Superman, a lot of people are like, I don't need to see that. Yeah, you do. You have, in my opinion, you have to earn the suit. Do you know why Marvel was so successful the way they did it. First one out, Iron Man. He doesn't become Iron Man until the very end of the movie. Even going back to Batman Begins, we see him have to become Batman. He doesn't become Batman until the end of the movie. All that kind of stuff, we see these people become them. Even Thor, like everything, we see them become who they are. Now, granted, Smallville had an unfair amount of time advantage to do that, right? They had all these seasons of him becoming Superman. But if somebody came down from heaven and said, or Hollywood in this case, and said, Chase, we want you to write and direct Superman, I would say I need 3 films. 3. Because he ain't becoming Superman until the end of the first one. Maybe not until the beginning of the second one. Maybe he gets the suit at the end of the first one. Let us see over time him develop these abilities. Come on. All of that kind of stuff. Earn the suit. The suit should be earned. And you can't jump right to, he's Superman, take my word for it. He got his ass kicked. He's getting his ass kicked all the time. So we need a big team-up movie to help Superman. Your first Superman movie out, you do all the wrong things, and it just becomes this weird team-up movie, which he also stole from Smallville. So it's not really a Superman movie. That's my other complaint. It's a team-up movie. And everything good about it was shoplifted from Smallville and from Gunn himself, from other movies. There are 2 scenes in this movie that are exact theft of himself from Guardians. The first one is the Mr. Terrific scene in this movie with Lois as they're breaching this area where all these bad guys are. He has these, like, basically they're not magic, they're technology, floating round orb things that he controls himself, and they swing around and they leave little red trails behind them, and they're taking out the bad guys this way and that to music as they're walking through. You know, music is playing over everything. They're walking through. This thing is whistling around, taking everybody out. And if you think you've seen that scene before, you have. It is the Yondu scene where it's playing Come a Little Bit Closer, and he's got the arrow flying and taking everyone out that, you know, did mutiny on the ship with Rocket and Groot. It is the exact same scene, and it is pretty much with a little bit of the Rocket scene to Southern Nights in Guardians 2. It's the exact same. He totally said, people love those 2 scenes. I'm going to do that scene again. That's what he did. Superman nowhere to be found in that scene. So he totally shoplifted that one. Another one that he did is Guardians 2 at the beginning, where there's this big, like, glowing demon or monster in the background with tentacles and everything else, as Groot is having, you know, a little issue in the foreground and dancing around and all this kind of stuff. There's a monster going on in the background that's glowing and all this kind of stuff. Iridescent glowing. He does that again in one of what could have been the best scenes in the movie, where Clark, or Superman, and Lois are talking, and outside the window is this same looking glowing tentacled beast as they're trying to have this serious conversation in the foreground. One of the best moments in the movie is going on in the background like a joke outside the window, and the Justice Gang, awful name, is out there fighting it, and it's distracting you constantly in the background of this scene. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not needed. You're taking away any kind of interesting character development with your stupid, hey, look how funny this is in the background stuff going on. But he said, hey, it worked in Guardians 2, so I'm going to do it here and screw up this scene. But those are the things that stuck out me that they're just rough, man. They're rough. The script overall is rough. You're dropped in to what really feels like a part 3. You feel like you're dropped into the middle of a third movie in a franchise. And he gets away with that by telling you on screen in writing what has been happening this whole time. Say, okay, go ahead for it. So I hate that. Superman costumes got to be earned. Just no. Now, when I say everything good, Smallville did better. Well, I leaned over to my son part of the way through the movie because he's a Smallville fan too. That was his introduction to Superman. And I said, David Cornsweet and Cornsweet, however you say his name, and Nicholas Hoult, I was like, they look like, I'm a director. I've made movies. I was like, and I've studied acting, all this. I said, they sure look like they are fans of and studied Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling from Smallville. Well, lo and behold, I come home and find these articles and people are sending me videos where they're big Smallville fans, and they studied those guys. Those guys set the bar very high. David Cornsweet is actually in a video that's circulating right now, is hooked up to a lie detector test, and I'll put that in here if I can, and he says that Tom Welling is his favorite Superman.
You're the 12th person to play Superman in live action. Which was your favorite Superman growing up?
I think Tom Welling.
Truthful.
And you got Nicholas Hoult. You have a Screen Rant article. There's several other articles. I'll try to put those in here if I can, where they talk about studying these guys. Nicholas Hoult said that Rosenbaum set the bar high on Smallville. He tried to emulate that, all that kind of stuff. And there's moments. They even move like them, mannerisms like them. They try to make them look like them a little bit. James Gunn said he was a big Smallville fan. He used Luthor Corp instead of LexCorp because of Smallville. Used the same logo. Used the same design for the Daily Planet. And several other things like that. The concept of how... This is very spoiler heavy right here. Very spoiler heavy, though. Because I'm a Smallville fan and a Superman fan, I knew it in 2 seconds without having seen anything. So if you've seen Smallville, you're going to know this when you go in to watch the movie. They have Ultraman in the movie. He took the two concepts from Smallville of Ultraman being Clark from a different dimension and Bizarro being created on there with Clark's DNA. He combined them and gave you Ultraman in this movie. I told Logan, my son, that in the first 5 minutes. First 5 minutes, that's all Ultraman. I was like, dude, this is what they're going to do. It's from Smallville. So if you've seen Smallville, he totally lifted that one. He's not giving him credit for, but he totally lifted it. He combined two things and he totally lifted it because we are dealing with different dimensions because somehow Lex Luthor has the ability to create an entire pocket universe that he can go in and out of anywhere he wants to. He's a billionaire. He has a Superman of his very own, really, in Ultraman. He should have everything he needs to beat Superman already. Like, if you can create a whole pocket universe, a whole other universe, why do you care about beating Superman and getting a piece of land over? It makes no sense. The script is like someone dropped a bomb and just said, let's put a bunch of cool things in here, like, you know, dangle string in front of everybody. Like that's all it is. It's exhausting. Terrible looking CGI dog. Though he was better CGI than the rest of it. But I'm like, dude, you lifted that from Smallville. You took it. But the big thing, there's two really big things that he does that he took from Smallville in this movie. And I think even the big reviewer, Jeremy Johns, I think that's his name, said the same thing. That whole concept of Clark finding a message from his parents, like Jor-El and his mom, Laura L. The whole finding this message and then finding out that part of that message was that he was sent here to conquer, that we're a flawed race, rule us with strength, you'll be a god among men, all that kind of stuff. That is the whole thread line. It is the whole plot of this movie. That's supposedly what sets Lex off. That's what gets the world to turn against him. That drives the whole narrative of this movie. It is completely created and stolen from Smallville. It is stolen from Smallville, and they did it better because they had a lot of time to unpack it, to grow through it, and put it in context to find out Jor-El was not really this bad guy. The context of that message, the rest of that message, and you can't do that in a movie, especially that has 1,700 characters, way too many characters to contain because it's a team-up movie. It's not a Superman movie. Too many plot threads, but that is the crux. That is the main central driving plot of the movie, and it was shoplifted from Smallville, and Smallville did it better.
It's a message from my biological father. I'm sure I'm reading it wrong.
Why? What does it say?
On this third planet from this star, Soul, you be God among men. They are a flawed race, rule them with strength, my son. That is where your greatness lies. I think I was sent here to conquer. What kind of planet am I from?
Maybe you did misread it, Clark. But even if you didn't, it's you who decides what kind of a life you're going to lead. Not me, not your mother, not your biological parents.
What if it's part of who I am? Is that the kind of person I will become?
Clark Kent, you're here to be a force for good, not a force for evil.
Well, how can you be so sure?
Because I am your father. I raised you, and I know you better than anyone.
He took everything. And then there's the moment in this movie where he finally does go back home to Smallville, and he sits down and talks with his father, and his father tells him how he's proud of him, and he tells him, I raised you, you're my son. Like, literally, whoever wrote the exact same episode of Smallville could be like, James Gunn just plagiarized my whole script. We still did it way better with better actors and more emotion, but you totally stole it. It is damn near verbatim. So when I say, he took from Smallville, he took liberally from Smallville, but they did it way better. That I was like, dude, I've seen this scene. I've seen this scene too. And we don't get the kind of character development that you would have gotten in Smallville. You have this great scene because I like David Cornsweet. I do. He's now my third favorite Superman behind, of course, Christopher Reeve and Tom Welling. And the Lois she was fine. They had good chemistry, but you just crapped all over it. That scene that I was talking about where they're talking, that could have been something. But until we figure out that to stop relying on CGI and goofy jokes or political agendas and stuff and get back to writing and acting and having emotion, you're going to piss all over scenes like that, and you're never going to get a scene like this one from Smallville.
Do you love this man?
Answer the question, Lois. Don't outthink it. Just tell the truth.
Do you love him?
Tell the truth.
Do you love him?
Yes.
See, that, you're never going to get that kind of emotion, that kind of tension, Because James Gunn would have a fart joke over here, or somebody flipping a bird, making a quip, or some kind of distraction in the background. You're never going to get that kind of tension. You're never going to get that kind of thing because he can't help himself. He can't help himself. And to all of you fanboys who are like, well, Smallville he was never Superman. He's not Superman. He was Clark Kent. I don't know how to tell you this, but the suit doesn't make you Superman. That's the whole concept of Superman, is the choices you make, who you are, all that kind of stuff is what makes you Superman. And I also don't know how to tell you this, but the costume you buy to wear for Halloween doesn't make you that character, that costume. You're still the same person, you just put on the costume. So, in case you didn't know that, besides, he also got the Superman costume, if you want to call it that, the Superman outfit at the end of Smallville. So he was Superman. It doesn't matter. Like that is the dumbest argument. The clothes, that's the whole opposite of the argument that you're supposed to learn from Superman and the comic books. That's it. That's it. That is exact opposite. So that is the dumbest argument ever. So I don't want to hear that one. But that, you're never going to get that until we stop relying on the CGI mess. But that is my thoughts on this. I like the movie overall. I will buy the movie when it comes to physical media. I'll buy it on 4K. It could have been so much more, and that's what's sad. And listen, I'm resistant, y'all. Like, I had to be talked in for a year. Smallville did it better. Smallville, everything you like about this movie, Smallville did it better. From the acting, you talk about acting, if I hadn't shown it already, Michael Rosenbaum in this scene with Tom Welling, where they're talking back and forth, there's more emotion, more acting, better writing in that scene, that one scene of Smallville, than there is in this entire script and in any Marvel movie to come out in the last 4 or 5 years. Just since Infinity War, for sure. There is better in this one scene than that, because that sets the bar.
I tried to be your friend, Lex. But all you care about is power and control.
This is Smallville! Meteor freaks, alien ships, cryptic symbols. These threats are real. Someone had to take control. Someone has to protect the world.
Listen to yourself, Lex. You're so caught up in your own delusions, you've lost track of reality.
Have I?
Anything you liked in this movie, Smallville did it better. And Smallville did it first, too, in most cases. Or James Gunn just copied himself. And giving him it. My worry is if the movie does well, that it's going to send the wrong message, that this is the kind of stuff that we want. I wanted a Superman movie. I wanted to see someone become Superman. I wanted me to identify with them, love them, and root for them to put that suit on and be Superman, be that symbol. Instead, you made a rushed team up, CGI filled mess with Superman already in the suit, didn't learn any of the lessons he should have learned already by the time he'd been Superman for 3 years. And you drop this into the middle of chaos, and nobody earned their space. Nobody earned it. And it is, gosh, man. It was so close, because I like Corn Sweat, and I think Nicholas Hoult did a good job. I mean, they modeled themselves after the right people, in my opinion. I actually think that those two and the woman who played Lois Lane, I just totally forgot her name, they were lifting up above what the script. They were being held back by the script in this movie. I honestly believe they were being held back by it. I really, really do. Because the script is an abomination. Now, what else he took from Smallville? The Justice Gang. Smallville did the Justice Society of America in seasons 9 and 10. All of the same characters that were in the Justice Gang were in the Justice Society in Smallville, but not really. They were dead or gone because Hawkgirl and Hawkman have a thing going there. I'm not getting into their mythology, but so there's like 8 or 9 of them that Smallville identified. And the characters that Smallville used were not used in the movie. And the characters that Smallville just talked about but didn't use were the ones that were used in the movie. So that version of Green Lantern, Fairplay, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, they were talked about in Smallville but not used. This movie used them instead of using Hawkman, Dr. Fate, stuff like that, the ones that were used in Smallville. But like in the whole Justice Society building with the painting and stuff on the wall, just like in Smallville, if you're paying attention. So lots of Easter eggs there. But again, didn't need a team up movie. And just make a Superman movie. Make it genuine from the heart, because there are some good feelings that run through this. One of the best things in this, and he couldn't let it breathe. One of the best things in this is where he's talking about being punk rock. And Lois is talking about punk rock as being, basically raging against the machine, a skeptic, pissy, all the kind of stuff that everybody has been for the last 15 years. She's talking about how that's really punk rock and all this stuff. And Superman says, and she's like, you just see the good in everybody. You want everybody to get along. You want hope and fun and like all this kind of stuff. And he's like, yeah, maybe that's the real punk rock. The best moment in the movie, best line, right from that place. Like I'm sitting here. I mean, I know James Gunn is rich and famous and everything. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are a good writer, right? You can be very fortunate, stumble into some things, have some good help. Right from that place. Write your script from that place. Because it's in there. And so I would like to see a whole Superman movie built from that place. Him learning those values and coming up and earning the suit because he learned those values, and now he's pushing those values out to everyone. Truth, justice, and the American way. Put that back in. That was taken out by DC back when the whole social justice warrior movement started. They took out the whole American way. Put that back in. It's foundationally Superman, and the only people that have a problem with it are not your target audience anyway. So that's what I got for you this time. I would still recommend that you see it. It's enjoyable popcorn movie that just leaves you wanting. It's super, and it's a super what could have been kind of feeling when you leave there. But that's what I got for you this time. I could probably go on about this forever. I'm a massive Superman fan. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye. In the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane. It was almost Superman. Bye-bye. I know.